This is IndigoMusic.com. I'm Rohit, and it's time for yet another edition of Founders Frequency. This is where we talk to entrepreneurs. We talk to them about their journey as an entrepreneur. What are some of the learnings that they would have probably, had in that entrepreneurial journey? And joining me right now is a very special guest. He is the co-founder and CEO of HomeLane, Mr. Srikanth Iyer. Good morning. Welcome to IndigoMusic.com.
Good morning, Rohit. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's our pleasure to have you with us. Now, I want to start off by asking you, you've been an entrepreneur for quite some time, if I have to be honest. But tell me, when did that bug bite you? Like, when did you decide that this is something that I'm going to do and that is becoming an entrepreneur?
I've been entrepreneur now for about 31 years. And this is my fourth startup, by the way. HomeLane is my fourth startup. I've been pretty much, except for a year in between where I work for a company called Pearson,
Yeah.
I've pretty much been on my own. Very different businesses. I guess I'm more of a generalist. I'm not a practitioner. So I have the comfort of doing whatever I want because
Yeah.
I don't practice the craft. I only try to build a reasonable size business with whatever I know. But it's been fun. I wouldn't change it for anything. I've assembled computers in my first business. I built a small services company. I ran a small edtech,
Yeah.
which became big after that. And now I run an interior design firm. And my background in education is none of the above. I'm a computer science engineer and I did my postgrad also in computer science, but I've never coded after college. So I guess the entrepreneurship bug bit me very early and hasn't left. And now I'm unhireable anyway. Nobody will give me a job. So I might as well do something on my own.
Yeah, that's the whole deal because I'm a mechanical engineer myself and I'm doing absolutely nothing related to mechanical engineering apart from servicing my own bike. So it's got nothing to do with. But it's end of the day, it's all about what drives you, what makes you get up from your bed every morning and go at it. And that is something that I want to ask you about. You've, like you mentioned, you've assembled computers, then started an ed tech. Do you think an entrepreneur, for example, let's say in a tech startup, right? Do you think they will be looked down upon if they venture into another stream like how you have done? You've moved into interior designing. So happens often?
This is my philosophy, right? There are two ways of looking at entrepreneurship.
Right.
One is the way that, what the great Steve Jobs used to say, which is, you do what you love. It'll never be short of enthusiasm. You love it anyway, right?
Correct.
But I believe in a slightly different philosophy. I think whatever you do, you should learn to love it. And you should learn to kind of become the best at it, or at least close to the best at it. So that's what drives me actually. So irrespective of whether it was assembling computers or now to interior design or edtech in between or the services business,
Yeah.
I've always loved what I did at that point in time. And
Right.
I have assembled computers with my own hands. I've delivered computers in the bike, somebody sitting behind me.
Holding like this and
Yeah. If you remember the desktop days.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I've done it all and I used to love it. Yeah, I can't say I love designing homes because I don't know how to design homes, but I love running a business which is into designing homes and helping people do up their homes. So I think it's easier, or I don't know, maybe because I'm not a practitioner, it's easier for me to love whatever I do and to try to scale whatever I do. So that's what gives me the kind of energy to get up every day in the morning and go at it.
Every entrepreneur in any field, they would have had their lowest day and there would have been a lesson they would have learned on that day. What has been, if I may ask, your point in life where you felt, why am I even doing this? And then you came back, with all guns blazing. Is there a point in your life, anyone that you can
Yeah,
remember?
I mean, there are too many actually, frankly, because what people see is like, the graph over 31 years, but the troughs and the highs in the 31 years, nobody sees very much. But if I can give you one example, I started HomeLane in 2014 and raised a Series A. I had Peak 15 and Aaron Capital and Growth Story as my investors, three very good VCs.
Okay.
I raised about 27 crores in Series A way back in 2014, 2015. 2016, the business was growing quite okay, quite well. It grown to about 2-3 crores a month of revenue. And so we thought we should now raise a much larger round.
Correct.
So I told my board that I'm going to raise 50 million, 50, and went to market. I met 147 VCs in about 15 months to 18 months.
Okay.
I got 147 no's.
Okay.
And yeah, and I wanted to raise 50 million. I ended up raising externally, I ended up raising 2 million.
Okay.
So it was one of the most humbling periods of my life ever. Needless to say, I'd planned that I would raise 50 million, so the team was too big. There was a time when I had to let more than half of my colleagues go because we just could not afford to have them. To me, whenever I'm faced with such circumstances, and thankfully they've been there, but not too often, I
Mm.
always ask one question and seek the answer to one question. What is the right decision for me to take in the interest of my company right now? It's been tough, but you always end up taking the right decision if you only have one stakeholder in mind for who you're going to take the decision for. Sometimes even your own personal interests may conflict with the decision you're taking.
Yeah.
But I think the maturity of a great entrepreneur is to take that decision, even though it may be negative personally, but it will be positive professionally and for the company's stakeholders. So I think that's really what has helped me, guided me, kind of my North Star, so to speak. Whenever I've had these kind of difficulty, problems, you always get, you feel claustrophobic, you feel muddled, you feel confused, you feel obviously disappointed, and all of the above, right? So
Right.
I ask myself this question: what is the right thing to do for the company? Not for me, not for my co-founder, not for my investors, but for the company. And I take that decision, and that has stood me through the difficult times.
Some great learnings, I would say, when it comes to all these circumstances that make you learn things that are very valuable. I also want to talk about your company, which is HomeLane, and about the evolving trends when it comes to interiors. A lot of people are they have access to buy homes now. A lot of youngsters, they want to invest in homes, also make a home for themselves. So tell me, where do you see this growing in the near, let's say, 5 to 10 years, in a decade? Where do you see HomeLane as a brand and also the entire industry grow?
So two, three things. Let me just give
Sure.
you. I'll give you some statistics on country like China, for example. About 15 years ago, China's GDP was not very dissimilar to where we are now as
Okay.
a country, and uh, their home interiors industry was 85% unorganized and 15% was organized players.
Okay.
So fast forward 15 years, today 85% of their industry is organized players and only 15% is unorganized players.
Like a switch.
Yeah, it's like a switch. It's happened, and just 15, actually speaking, 15 years is nothing. It's a multi-billion dollar industry we're talking about here. So
Yeah.
what happened there is basically people have become aspirational. People want personalized design. We all spend a lot of time in our homes, especially after COVID. This feeling has accelerated. Ki, I am spending so much time in my house. I want to spend as much money to do it up. I want it. It's like fast fashion. It's like what I wear is a statement of who I am, and where I live is another statement of who I am. So I may be, a music binger, I may be a Netflix binger, I may be a gamer, or whatever else I may be. I may have a pet who I love. So, but I want my space to be personalized to that. And that's where clearly even India is heading. So, like I said, China did this flip in 15 years. Forecast is that in the next 10 years, we are going to do the same flip. And
Mm.
guess what's the percentage of the organized industry in home interiors in India today?
Organized would
It's
be.
15. It is 15%.
Oh, it's like the China.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I see this flipping in the next 10 years. That's going up. People's salaries are increasing, etc., etc. Aspirational, and secondly, it is more that I want a personalized design for me. It needs to be value for money,
Mm.
but it needs to be also personalized to my lifestyle, to my personality, etc. So that is becoming very, very strong. I can clearly see the sand shifting. there.
Right. Yeah. Speaking about personalized, like my room, like a room which I have like a studio in my house, I try to make it personalized on my own, and my mom and dad, they keep yelling at me because of that. Because whatever parts that I've used in my motorcycle which have not been, instead of throwing them away, I just put them on the wall, nail it down, and now it looks like a garage. So they're like, why are you doing this? So I think, yeah, like you said, personalization, something that makes me happy. Maybe it may not make you happy, but it makes me happy. So that is, I think it's a great and you also have kind of a first mover advantage, if I'm not wrong, right, with
Yeah.
HomeLane now being what, 11 years.
Yeah, 10 and a half years. We just finished our 10th year anniversary a few months ago, and we've delivered about 55,000 homes in 10 and a half years. We're delivering 1,000 homes a month right now. So yeah, we are one of the largest in the country. Happy to say that we've been growing consistently with compounded average of about say 30% over the last 5 years. So year on year, yeah.
Over the last 5 years, and that too during COVID time. I think that's
Yeah,
an achievement in itself.
yeah.
But tell me, Mr. Iyer, before I let you go, one tip, that a golden tip to all the budding entrepreneurs who are listening, and maybe they're in college or they're doing a job and they want to shift, they want to start something on their own in any field. What would you like to tell them?
If you want to build something which will stand the test of time, which is going to be a brand which will be known at least for the next few decades, if not more, it is going to take you 5 to 10 years. Unless you're willing to dedicate yourself for that period of time, go back to your job. It does take time to build something long lasting, fundamentally very strong, and profitable. So take that time, dedicate that time, mentally be prepared for it. Don't expect something overnight. That would be my advice.
What you're saying is speed is good for quick commerce, but not for being an successful entrepreneur.
Correct. Exactly.
Well, Mr. Iyer, thank you so much for sharing some insights about the industry that you're in, which is interior designing and everything to do with personalization. And of course, your journey from making your own computers, and what a fabulous story of you delivering them on a scooter to now running a successful company called HomeLane. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day ahead.
Thanks so much.